Long before refrigerators hummed in our kitchens, our ancestors found clever ways to keep their food fresh. The Philippines is a warm country, you know. Food can spoil quickly in the tropical heat. Our early people looked to nature for answers. They discovered that vinegar and salt were powerful allies. These simple ingredients could protect meat and fish from going bad. This was more than just cooking. It was a science born out of necessity. It was a way to make sure there was always food for the family, even when the hunt or the catch was not plentiful. This smart method laid the foundation for many Filipino dishes we love today. Vinegar, or suka, became a cornerstone of our cuisine. It was made from things that grew all around, like coconut, sugarcane, palm, and banana. Each type of vinegar had its own special taste, adding a unique character to every dish. Using vinegar was a way of life. It was a practical solution to a daily problem. This practice of preserving food with a sour agent is a common thread that runs through many Southeast Asian cultures. But in the Philippines, we embraced it with a passion that made it truly our own. The sour and savory taste profile became a signature of our food, a flavor that speaks of our history and ingenuity. The combination of vinegar and salt created a magical effect. It not only preserved the food, but also tenderized the meat and infused it with a deep, satisfying flavor. Imagine a time without modern conveniences. Our ancestors would marinate chunks of pork or chicken in a mixture of local vinegar, crushed garlic, and coarse sea salt. This mixture would be left to sit, allowing the flavors to seep deep into the flesh. This process was the very beginning of what we now call adobo. It was a dish born from the earth, from the need to survive, and from the simple wisdom of the people. This method of cooking was not just about preservation. It was also about creating delicious food. The slow simmering of the meat in the sour and salty liquid transformed it into something truly special. The flavors would meld together, creating a dish that was both comforting and exciting. It was a taste that was familiar and beloved, a taste that reminded people of home. Even today, the smell of garlic and vinegar simmering on the stove can transport a Filipino back to their childhood kitchen. It is a testament to the enduring power of this ancient cooking technique, a technique that has nourished generations and continues to define our culinary identity. In the vast world of Filipino cooking, vinegar is a king with many faces. We have developed at least 4 major cooking methods that rely on its power. The first, and perhaps the oldest, is kinilaw. This is our version of ceviche, but it is a tradition that stands proudly on its own. Fresh, raw fish or seafood is cooked not by heat, but by the acid of the vinegar. It is mixed with ginger, onions, and chili to create a dish that is bright, clean, and incredibly fresh. Kinilaw shows our deep connection to the sea and our skill in using vinegar to celebrate the pure taste of the ocean's bounty. The second method is paksiw. Here, the main ingredient, usually fish but sometimes pork, is simmered in a pot with vinegar, garlic, and ginger. Unlike kinilaw, paksiw is cooked over a fire. The result is a dish where the sourness is more pronounced, a sharp and tangy stew that is a perfect partner for a mountain of steamed rice. Paksiw na isda, or fish paksiw, is a common sight on the Filipino dining table, a simple, humble dish that provides immense comfort. It is a straightforward way of cooking that highlights the preserving quality of vinegar while creating a deeply flavorful meal. The third technique is called sankutsa. This is a method of parboiling or pre-cooking meat in its own juices with spices and vinegar. The goal of sankutsa is not to cook the meat completely, but to prepare it for another cooking method. It helps to tenderize the meat and infuse it with a base layer of flavor. This is an important step in many complex Filipino dishes. It shows a thoughtful, multi-layered approach to building flavors, ensuring that every bite is packed with taste. Sankutsa is the patient work that happens behind the scenes, a secret step to a more delicious final dish. Finally, we have the method that leads to our most famous dish, adobo. In this technique, the meat is first marinated in vinegar, soy sauce, and garlic. It is then browned in oil and simmered in its own marinade until the liquid reduces into a thick, savory sauce. This process combines the preserving power of vinegar with the flavor-enhancing magic of browning and slow simmering. It is a more complex process than paksiw and results in a dish with a richer, more balanced flavor profile. These 4 methods, kinilaw, paksiw, sankutsa, and adobo, are the pillars of our vinegar-based cuisine, each one a different expression of our love for the sour and the savory. When the Spanish colonizers arrived in the Philippines in the 16th century, they brought with them their language, their religion, and their own food traditions. As they observed the lives of the native people, they saw a curious cooking method. They watched as Filipinos marinated meat in vinegar and then simmered it in a clay pot. This process reminded them of their own cooking technique called adobar, which means to marinate or to dress in Spanish. So they called the Filipino dish adobo from the Spanish word. The name stuck, and it has been known as adobo ever since. However, it is very important to understand that the name was new, but the dish was not. Our ancestors had been cooking their food this way for a very long time before the Spanish ever set foot on our shores. The use of vinegar as a preservative and flavor agent was a deeply ingrained local practice. The Spanish simply gave a name to something that was already there. They did not invent the dish, they only documented it through their own cultural lens. This is a story of a Filipino original that received a Spanish label, a common theme in our history. The act of naming is powerful. By calling it adobo, the Spanish connected our native dish to their own culinary world. But the Filipino adobo remained distinctly Filipino. The core ingredients, the local vinegar, the garlic, the peppercorns, and later, the soy sauce brought by Chinese traders, were all part of our own story. The dish was a reflection of our environment and our trade relationships. It was a product of our islands, not of Europe. The name may be Spanish, but the soul of adobo is, and always will be, Filipino. This history tells us a lot about our culture. It shows our ability to adapt and to absorb influences without losing our own identity. We took the Spanish name but kept our Filipino recipe. It also highlights the ingenuity of our ancestors, whose cooking methods were so effective that they caught the attention of the newcomers. Today, when we cook adobo, we are not just making a meal. We are participating in a long and rich history. We are honoring a tradition that predates colonization and celebrates the enduring spirit of the Filipino people. The story of adobo's name is a reminder that our culture is a complex tapestry woven with many different threads. While our adobo shares a name with dishes from Spain and Latin America, they are quite different in taste and preparation. The Spanish adobado is often a raw marinade used to preserve and flavor meat, particularly pork. It is typically a thick paste made from paprika, oregano, salt, garlic, and vinegar. The meat is coated in this mixture and then roasted or fried. The dominant flavor is often smoky and spicy from the paprika, a key ingredient that is not traditionally found in our Filipino adobo. The purpose is similar, to flavor and preserve, but the ingredients and the final taste are worlds apart. In Mexico and other parts of Latin America, adobo also refers to a marinade or sauce. Mexican adobo is famous for its use of various dried chilies like ancho and guajillo. These chilies are rehydrated and blended with spices, garlic, and vinegar to create a deep red, complex, and often spicy sauce. This sauce is then used to marinate and cook meats, such as in the classic dish carne adobada. The flavor profile is smoky, earthy, and can range from mildly spicy to fiery hot. This is very different from the Filipino adobo, which is primarily savory and sour, with soy sauce and vinegar as its foundation. The key difference lies in the core ingredients. Filipino adobo is built on the foundation of vinegar, soy sauce, or salt, garlic, and black peppercorns. Our adobo is a stew, where the meat is simmered in its marinade until tender. The sauce is a braising liquid that reduces down to a glaze. Spanish and Mexican adobos, on the other hand, are often defined by paprika and chilies. They are more of a paste or a thick sauce used to coat the meat before it is cooked using other methods like grilling or roasting. The color itself is a giveaway. Our adobo is typically dark brown, while theirs is often a vibrant red. This comparison shows how a single word can have very different meanings in the world of food. It also highlights the unique character of Filipino cuisine. Our adobo is not a variation of a Spanish or Mexican dish. It is its own distinct creation with its own history. The similarities in name point to a shared colonial history, but the differences in the pot tell a story of local ingredients, local tastes, and a culinary tradition that developed independently. Understanding these differences helps us appreciate what makes our adobo so special and so uniquely ours. It is a taste of our history, not an echo of someone else's. Cooking adobo is a ritual that feels both simple and profound. The classic process begins with marinating the meat. Chunks of pork, chicken, or a combination of both are placed in a bowl. Then comes the holy trinity of adobo flavor soy sauce for its salty, umami depth, vinegar for its bright, tangy kick, and a generous amount of crushed garlic for its pungent aroma. Whole black peppercorns and dried bay leaves are also added to the mix. The meat is left to soak in this wonderful liquid for at least 30 minutes, but, many believe that a longer marination, even overnight, creates a much deeper flavor. After the marination, the cooking truly begins. The pieces of meat are lifted from the marinade and patted dry. They are then seared in a hot pot with a little oil until they are beautifully browned on all sides. This step is crucial. It is not just about cooking the meat. It is about creating layers of flavor through the Maillard reaction, which gives the meat a rich, caramelized crust. This browning process adds a complexity that cannot be achieved by simply boiling. The aroma that fills the kitchen during this stage is the unmistakable promise of a delicious adobo to come. Once the meat is browned, the marinade that was set aside is poured back into the pot. Some cooks also add a bit of water or broth at this point. The heat is lowered, the pot is covered, and the adobo is left to simmer gently. This is where the magic happens. The slow cooking allows the tough cuts of meat to become incredibly tender, practically melting in your mouth. The liquid slowly reduces, concentrating all the flavors of the soy sauce, vinegar, garlic, and spices. The entire mixture thickens into a rich, savory sauce that clings lovingly to every piece of meat. The final step can vary from cook to cook. Some prefer their adobo saucy, perfect for spooning over hot rice. Others continue to simmer until the sauce has almost completely evaporated, creating a dry adobo where the flavors are intensely concentrated on the meat itself. Some even fry the tender meat pieces one last time for a crispy finish. There is no single right way. The beauty of the adobo process is its flexibility. It is a method that invites personalization, allowing every cook to create a version that is uniquely their own, a version that tastes exactly like home. Adobo is not just one dish. It is a universe of dishes. While the classic pork and chicken adobo is the most well-known, the versatility of the adobo method means it can be applied to almost any ingredient. This has given rise to countless regional and family variations across the Philippines. Each version tells a story about the local ingredients and tastes of a particular place. This adaptability is one of the main reasons why adobo is so beloved. It is a dish that can change and evolve, yet it always remains comfortingly familiar. It is a true reflection of the diversity of our islands. One of the most interesting variations is adobong puti, or white adobo. This is believed to be the original pre-Hispanic version of the dish, created before soy sauce was introduced by Chinese traders. In adobong puti, the dark color of soy sauce is absent. The meat is simmered simply in vinegar, garlic, salt, and peppercorns. The result is a dish with a cleaner, more pronounced sourness. It is a beautiful and elegant version that allows the pure flavors of the vinegar and garlic to shine through. It connects us to the very roots of our culinary heritage. In the Bicol region, where coconut is king, it is no surprise that they add coconut milk or gata to their adobo. This version is called adobo sa gata. The process is similar to the classic adobo, but rich coconut milk is added towards the end of the cooking time. This creates a sauce that is incredibly creamy, balancing the sharpness of the vinegar with a subtle sweetness. Often green chilies are also added for a gentle heat. In the province of Batangas, they have adobong dila, or yellow adobo, which gets its vibrant color and earthy flavor from turmeric, or luyang dila. The spirit of adobo extends beyond meat. Seafood adobo is very popular, especially with squid or adobong pusit, where the squid ink naturally darkens and enriches the sauce. There is also adobo made with vegetables. Adobong kangkong, or water spinach adobo, is a quick, easy, and delicious vegetable side dish. Other vegetables like string beans, eggplant, and even okra can be cooked in the adobo style. These variations show that adobo is more than just a recipe. It is a way of thinking about flavor. It is a culinary concept that can be applied to almost anything, making it one of the most creative and enduring dishes in the Filipino kitchen. Adobo holds a special place in the heart of Filipino life because it is incredibly practical. Its origins as a method of preservation have not been forgotten. Because of the vinegar, adobo does not spoil easily, even without refrigeration. This makes it the perfect food to pack for a long journey, a picnic, or as a baon, or packed lunch, for school or work. Many Filipinos living abroad find comfort in a container of adobo sent from home, as it can survive the long trip and still taste delicious. It is a dish that travels well, carrying with it the taste of home. This natural longevity also means that adobo tastes even better the next day. As it sits in the refrigerator, the flavors continue to meld and deepen. The meat absorbs more of the savory sauce and the whole dish becomes richer and more complex. Many Filipinos will swear that leftover adobo is the best adobo. It is often shredded and fried with garlic to make adobo flakes, a crispy and addictive topping for garlic fried rice at breakfast. This ability to transform and improve with time adds to its legendary status in our kitchens. It is a dish that keeps on giving. Because of its delicious taste and its ability to be made in large batches, adobo is a star at any Filipino gathering. You will find a large pot of adobo at baptisms, birthdays, town fiestas, and Christmas celebrations. It is a dependable crowd pleaser that everyone loves. It sits comfortably on the buffet table next to other party favorites like pancit, lumpia, and lechon. Its presence is both expected and celebrated. Serving adobo at a feast is a way of sharing a piece of our collective identity, a flavor that unites everyone at the table. But beyond the big celebrations, adobo is fundamentally a dish for the home. It is the everyday meal that mothers and fathers cook for their families. It is the first dish many young Filipinos learn to make because the recipe is so forgiving. The scent of adobo simmering on the stove is the scent of comfort, of family, and of homecoming. It is a simple dish, but it is filled with love and memory. Whether it is for a grand fiesta or a quiet weeknight dinner, adobo is always there, a constant and comforting presence in Filipino life. The flavor of adobo is so iconic that it has jumped out of the stew pot and into the modern snack aisle. If you walk into a Filipino grocery store, you will be greeted by a wide array of adobo-flavored products. There are adobo-flavored potato chips, corn nuts, and crackers. There are even adobo-flavored instant noodles. This shows just how much we love this particular taste profile. It is a flavor we want to experience in many different ways, not just in its traditional form. It has become a shortcut to a taste that is instantly recognizable and deeply satisfying for the Filipino palate. Filipino chefs, both at home and around the world, are also playing with adobo, reinterpreting it in new and exciting ways. They are taking the classic dish and giving it a modern twist. You might find adobo on a fine dining menu, but it might look very different. Perhaps the pork belly has been cooked sous vide for 48 hours to make it incredibly tender, then served with a delicate adobo foam. Some chefs deconstruct the dish, presenting its elements in a new way, like an adobo-spiced confit chicken leg with a soy vinegar reduction sauce. These fusion versions show the endless possibilities of adobo. These creative interpretations are not meant to replace the original. Instead, they are a tribute to it. They honor the classic flavors while showing that Filipino cuisine can be both traditional and modern. Chefs are experimenting with different kinds of vinegar, like balsamic or apple cider, or using premium soy sauces. They are making adobo risotto, adobo tacos, and even adobo pizza. These dishes help introduce the flavor of adobo to a wider international audience who might not be familiar with the original stew. It is a way of keeping our culinary heritage alive and relevant in a fast-changing world. This creative energy surrounding adobo is a sign of a confident and dynamic food culture. We are proud of our national dish, and we are not afraid to experiment with it. From a simple bag of chips to an elaborate creation in a high-end restaurant, the spirit of adobo is thriving. It proves that a flavor born from the need to preserve food in ancient times can continue to inspire and delight people today. The journey of adobo is far from over. It is constantly being reinvented for a new generation of food lovers. As adobo's fame grows around the world, a new conversation has started in the Philippines. How do we present our national dish to an international audience? With so many different versions, which one should we call the standard adobo? In 2021, the Philippine Department of Trade and Industry, or DTI, announced a project to develop a set of basic recipes for the most popular Filipino dishes, starting with adobo. The goal was not to declare one recipe as the only correct one, but to create a baseline that could be promoted in international food festivals and Filipino restaurants abroad. This announcement was met with a lot of discussion and passionate debate among Filipinos. Many people asked, whose adobo will be the standard? A family in Manila makes their adobo differently from a family in Cebu or Davao. Some people like it sweet, some like it sour, and some like it spicy. The idea of a single official recipe seemed impossible and even a little bit wrong to many, because the beauty of adobo lies in its diversity. The DTI clarified that they were not trying to take away the freedom of every family to cook their adobo their way. To create these reference recipes, the DTI's Bureau of Philippine Standards formed a technical committee. This committee included chefs, food writers, and representatives from the food industry and government. They researched the history of the dish and documented the most common ingredients and cooking methods. They focused on the version most people know, the one with soy sauce, vinegar, garlic, and pepper. The idea was to create a simple, reliable recipe that would give foreigners a consistent and authentic first taste of our beloved dish, a gateway to the wider world of Filipino food. Ultimately, this project is about sharing our culture with the world. Adobo is more than just a dish. It is an ambassador for the Philippines. By creating a standardized guide, we can help people everywhere understand what makes Filipino food special. It is a way to protect our culinary heritage while also promoting it on a global stage. The search for a standard adobo is not about limiting creativity. It is about building a strong foundation so that the flavorful journey of our Filipino classic can continue, winning hearts and stomachs all over the world, one delicious plate at a time.